I'm sure at least a few of you are familiar with the Gap Band or have heard one of their songs over the years. Gap stands for Greenwood, Archer, and Pine, three streets located in North Tulsa, Oklahoma. In 1982, the Gap Band released a song called You Dropped a Bomb on Me. After one listen, I'm sure one would think it's just a song about a girl who broke up with a boy. But after a short history lesson, I'm sure you'll be able to connect the dots and discover the true meaning behind You Dropped a Bomb on Me, which is referring to the 1921 race massacre when bombs were dropped over Tulsa's historic Greenwood district. I was born and raised in North Tulsa, Oklahoma, not even 5 minutes away from where this took place. There's a lot of hidden history behind Tulsa's historic Greenwood district, and today I will be speaking to you about what Black Wall Street was, the race massacre of 1921, and the rebuilding efforts along with current racial tensions. So what exactly was Black Wall Street? In 1906, O.W. Gurley, a slave that was born in Arkansas, bought 40 acres of land in North Tulsa, and he had the intent of only selling to black entrepreneurs. He had a dream of wealth built by black people for black people. He made sure to loan money to entrepreneurs because white banks most likely would not loan any money to a person of color. Josie Pickens, a journalist, described Black Wall Street as a modern, majestic, sophisticated, and unapologetically black community. The community was filled with doctors' offices, lawyers' offices, pharmacies, convenience stores, grocery stores, a diner that my great-grandma worked at, a movie theater, a library, luxury shops, hotels, and that's just to start. A study was done, and it shows that every dollar that was spent in the Greenwood district circulated at least 36 times before it was no longer considered a black dollar. Now that I've informed you about what Black Wall Street was, I'm going to let you guys know what happened the day of the massacre. If you were lucky enough to speak to a person that was alive back then, they would tell you that yes, businesses were flourishing, but you could tell that racial tension and jealousy was brewing. An African American young man by the name of Dick Rowland, a shoe shiner, was accused of sexually assaulting an elevator worker, Sarah Page. No one really knows what happened, but people took Sarah Page's word, a white woman, over Dick Rowland's. Dick Rowland was taken to the courthouse, and word spread about the possible lynching of an innocent black man. A group of armed black men showed up to the courthouse and demanded that he be handed over so that they could protect him. And there was also an angry white mob there that demanded that Dick Rowland be handed over so that he could be lynched. As word spread, more African Americans showed up to protect Dick Rowland and demand that he be released to them. Words were exchanged between the black and white groups, and the black group returned home. And later that night, angry white mobs showed up to Black Wall Street and began killing any African American that was in sight. There were also bombs dropped over the district and left at least 3,000 people dead and hundreds of people homeless. Now that I've told you about what Black Wall Street was and how it was destroyed, I'm going to tell you about the multiple rebuilding efforts. A study was done and showed that there was at least $1.5 million in damage. The city of Tulsa did not help rebuild at all. The money came from the NAACP, donations from black churches, and a resilient community that refused to be kept down by hatred and jealousy. Now, if you were to go to North Tulsa and see the Greenwood district, you would notice that there isn't nearly as much today as there was back then. If you talk to older people, they will blame it on integration and gentrification. There was an interview done by Sarah There was an interview done, and Sarah Bish stated, "There can be no rebuilding until we acknowledge the past." I am proud to say that when I am home, I attend Greenwood frequently. I love to support the Black businesses, and currently there is an ice cream shop, which is one of my favorite places to go. There's Wanda J's, which is some soul food. There's a Black Wall Street shop where you can buy merchandise. And there's also a Black Wall Street art gallery, which features art only from African Americans. There is currently a Black Lives Matter mural painted on the street in retaliation to the current murders of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, and there have been efforts to try and get that removed by white people, but the Black community is standing strong and continues to demand that it stay there. And just recently, there has been a line of blue paint that was drawn through the mural in retaliation to Black Lives Matter to state that Blue Lives Matter. Now that I've told you about the history of Black Wall Street, the massacre of 1921, and the rebuilding efforts, I'm sure that you can feel a little more informed, and you'll be able to say that you've learned something that even the history books skip over or that they sometimes whitewash.